I'm not prepared to put them on notice, and that's where we'll land.
Senator Whish-Wilson, you have the call.
Thank you, Senator Abetz. I'm not sure exactly who to ask for to respond to these questions, because they may well not have been asked before. But I was wondering if I could certainly have someone senior from the Air Force, particularly a pilot, if that was possible.
Who knows how to fly a plane?
We'll do our best.
Who knows how to fly a plane?
Pilot from the Air Force, Senator.
Well, we've got two people walking
call the Chief of Air
towards
Force.
us.
There's a plan.
Chief of Air Force would be
He's a
great
pilot.
if that's possible. He's a pilot.
Done.
I've seen him fly, Senator.
Great. Can I proceed? I can't see whether he's with you,
people
Senator
are at the
Payne, but I
table,
presume he
Senator.
is.
Proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Senator, it's Air Marshal Mel Hupfeld, Chief of Air Force. I am a pilot and I used to fly aeroplanes, not current now, but I think I've got the information you might need depending on your question.
Oh, right. Okay, well, great. My question relates to I know we have close ties with the US, we share intelligence. My questions relate to release of the report on the 25th of June 2021 by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Preliminary Assessments, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. This is an issue that has been raised in Congress. The Department of Defence has submitted a report. It's become a significant matter of public interest. And I suppose my first question is, are you aware of that report, Chief of Air Force?
I'm not formally aware of the report, but if I'm thinking there was an article in the newspapers, a commentary about that at some stage, but I'm not quite sure of the content of the report.
Okay. Just as a matter of interest, what questions did you think I was going to ask?
I thought you were going to ask some questions about aircraft, but it sounds like you're going to ask questions about UFOs.
Well, we'd be very interesting to hear your views on this. Look, yes, it has been reported in the media extensively, both here and internationally. I'll just read you a few statements, or the executive summary of that report. It basically talks about UAPs as being something that the US Department of Defence is taking seriously. The Pentagon has a task force assigned to better understanding the data interpretation of recent sightings. The report says UAPs clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to US national security. And then it goes on to talking about the 144 cases that the Pentagon looked at. Only one was clearly explainable, the others remain unexplained. They claim that after carefully considering the information, the task force reports that UAPs largely witnessed firsthand by military aviators and were collected from systems that were considered to be reliable, and that most reports describe these UAPs as objects that interrupted pre-planned training or other military activity. So could I ask whether the Australian Air Force or the Australian military also has any task force looking at UAPs? Is this something that's you're familiar with at all here in your brief?
I'm not familiar with nor have seen any reports or information regarding UAPs in an Australian airspace context, and there's no Air Force-led task force that looks into this phenomenon.
So we don't do any monitoring of this at all?
Well, there's been no reports that I'm aware of, Senator.
No informal reports from pilots or
none from any aircrew or aviation organisations that I'm aware of. The only experience that I have in this was over 40 years ago when some reports were made and we launched Mirage aircraft, and the phenomena turned out to be errors on the radar screens in our normal civil air traffic control system, but no physical objects were detected. So
would it concern you the characterisation of the DoD of both intent and advanced technology in relation to their report. Basically, they're saying they can't explain what these things are, but they would like to better understand them.
Yeah, Senator, I can't answer for another sovereign nation. That is a matter for the US and the Pentagon and the Department of the Defence in the US.
Okay. Would it be possible for you to see if there has been any kind of across the other services, whether there's been any kind of reporting system?
Certainly, Senator, I can take
relation
that.
to this in Australia?
I can take that on notice, but I feel confident that as the Airspace Control Authority within Australia, if
Yep.
there had been any detections or items such as this, that I would be aware of them. But I can take that on notice to double check.
Okay. And would typically something like Jindalee be able to pick up fast-moving objects, or is it more designed to look at ships and...
Senator, the Jindalee operational radar network is designed to detect aircraft and some ships. I won't go into
Yeah.
the details of the nature of that detection, as we would then be getting into very classified areas. It's not possible for me to determine whether the Jawn would see something like an unusual airborne phenomenon without knowing the construction materials and other performance parameters of such an object, if indeed it was an object.
Okay. As a pilot, have you seen any of the video footage that's been released by the US military? It's unclassified. It's been reported on by the New York Times, the Washington Post, even the conversation here in Australia, which, as you know, is quite a respectable conservative media outlet, has written a report. They're not saying they agree that these things may be more than aberrations, but they are saying that finally there's a mature conversation now happening around UAPs and trying to better understand them.
Senator, through professional curiosity, I did look at some of the videos that were attached to those media reports. They were interesting but not compelling to me, and I don't believe everything that I read in the media.
No, nor do I. It's certainly something we learn in Canberra. I'm just interesting. Do you think it would be possible for pilots to spoof that kind of thing?
I'm not sure what you mean, spoof, Senator. You're talking about
obviously the videos come from US Air Force pilots. I think there's 80 different sources, and the DOD and the Pentagon are taking this seriously, but...
I'm not really able to comment on that, Senator. There's too many variables to even form a view.
All right. No, thank you for that. If you could just take that on notice, that'd be excellent. And if I've got any time left, Chair, perhaps Senator Patrick could take my allocation.
I think
I think you've got about 30 seconds left, so that's very
Oh,
generous.
well, there you go.
I think
Excellent. They're
Senator
very generous.
Whish-Wilson, I can say with some confidence that after over 2 decades participating in the Senate estimates process, this is the first occasion on which, in any capacity, I have had the opportunity to observe a conversation and a question and answer session on such an issue.
Well,
so thank you so much for bringing it to our attention.
My pleasure, Senator Payne. I do notice our key ally is taking this very seriously.
I heard you,
and
Senator.
it is now emerging as a matter of public interest. So I'm glad you appreciate it.
I listened with great interest, Senator.
Yes, and for
I'm glad we could find you a pilot.
And for Defence to monitor this, I dare say we should cut their budget by 50%. Says Senator Patrick. Back to you.
Thank you very much.